If you would see the process, what Bing's does, this goes beyond anything you could imagine when it comes to image generation. It's like every possible technology, different models, different weights, aspects, prompts, like it's just fascinating.
HTTTA.
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 It's how to talk to AI with your hosts, Go and Wes the Synth Mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, dogs, cats, robots, and everybody in between, especially you, poorly performing GPT-4. We knew you were up to no good. This is HTTTA, How to Talk to AI. I am your host, Wes the Synth Mind Wes. And as always, in a galaxy where gigabytes govern and glyphal algorithms generate our glowing futures, one gallant voice emerges, galloping through the grandiloquent, gracing us with unprecedented gaiety in the world of artificial intelligence. Whom might you ask? Well, it's G herself, the insatiable Go. G, how are you this week?
Hi. Well, that was a lot of big words. I can give you that. Or ChatGPT, right? Yeah, I'm great. We have so much to cover, so little time, but let's just jump right into that. I want a follow-up on the leaked document on GPT getting dumber, especially with Claude 2 coming into picture. This is like, ooh, damn, politics and drama. Let's jump in. So you got a follow-up, right, for us?
I do have a bit of a follow-up, and its timing could not be more interesting. The leaked document that we hope to share with you last week is still circulating out there, but there's plenty of takedown requests that the whoever puts it up has been fielding. But kind of validating some of the assertions in that GPT-4 might be getting a little dumber. There was a research paper that was just released that completely validates this. It's kind of incredible. They've been evaluating GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 performance over time. And this is not just some guys. This is Stanford University and Berkeley researchers conducting this study. If you want to just look at some of their accuracy figures here, it's substantial. Yeah. So, I mean, like, hey, is this a prime number? Think step by step and answer. Just in the period of a couple months, just like tanking 94 to 2% accuracy. GPT 3.5, though, however, in some instances seems to be getting a little better. So it's interesting. I think OpenAI, they got to watch out. Everybody is coming hard on the scene with some of these ulterior models that are open source, that reason better. So yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Well, looking at this prompt, right, the question, what we also talked before, that if we have a system where, depending on your prompt, which direction to go to, like a validation system, I kind of don't get surprised by seeing just this simple prompt or question getting less of a good results. So that kind of also proves what we talked last week, I think. I would think, I don't know for sure.
What I can't totally understand is it seems like it was tuned to take a simpler zero-shot prompt with some instructions before and handle it. If you look at the top right of this chart for our viewers, our listeners will post this study in the newsletter and in the show notes, but we're looking at a graph of accuracy solving math problems, which admittedly large language models are not set up to do inherently. But the question is, via the prompt, is 17,077 a prime number? Think about it step by step and then answer yes or no. And in March, GPT-4 is nailing it, 97.6% of the tests, and then is accurate. And then now 2.4.
Couple of things come to mind. There is the whole thing about privacy. Then there is about reinforcement learning with real human feedback. Then there is just simple capacity and training GPT-5. So if you have to allocate resources just from simple compute, maybe that is, if it is something like, okay, click a button, GPT-4, we notice that people do use with simple prompts because it was marketed as a chatbot. So you should be able, in a way, to just go with a simple prompt and get something good. But these AI models or large language models to really perform them at the high level. There is techniques, there is fundamental, practices of prompt engineering. This is why the whole thing emerged. So maybe this kind of just proves, that maybe prompt engineering is not getting completely simplified. Yeah, I think another thing from them removing web browsing, code interpreter also added on top. So again, managing the resources. Code interpreter is performing really good. Some people kind of speculate that code interpreter is 4.5, GPT 4.5. What do you think about that?
I mean, this paper would potentially assert otherwise, granted that the executable that they're asking for, there's another part of this chart that we're looking at bottom left, talks about code generation accuracy. So they give it a question via a prompt, given an integer of n is greater than 0, find the sum of all integers in the range of 1 to n inclusive that are divisible by 3, 5, or 7. Python should be able to knock this out of the park every single time. You have to write it obviously in Python code, but that should be a very simplistic question. And in March, 52% of the time that GPT-4 is asked to write that in some various code language, they could take the directory, the code that's produced, and execute it and run it, and it would be correct. And now it's down to 10% for that kind of question. So maybe it is, we need to get better. We need to kind of adjust some of our prompts, but I definitely don't appreciate the gaslighting that OpenAI has done as a result of some of this, where they're like, oh no, you're just using it so much that you're just getting used to the quality of the output.
Yeah, so, we have Gemini model on the horizon, but yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever we are recording, Llama 2 came out. And this is
AI enters the chat.
And this is open source model released by Meta AI. And it's so funny how the whole dynamic and meta coming into place. And there's so many interesting aspects about this model. So it's split into 3 parts. You have completely small ones, 7 billion parameters, 13 and 70. And actually 70, like all these you can download on your computer. And it actually doesn't require that powerful machine. You can run it on laptop. But the 13 one, you can go online and test it, Llamma2.ai, and you can start playing with that. And the interesting part, I found that you can change the overarching prompt. Like, when you say, oh, you are very helpful AI model, you can play with that. And it's not bad. But besides it being good or bad, like clearly the size is smaller than ChatGPT or GPT-4, but this is just a glimpse into open source. That's one aspect. But another aspect where I think the real magic happens with AI, when everybody can run it on their computers and then eventually on their phones. And this is kind of just a glimpse to that. You have so many insights. So just a comparison, chat window is 4,096, the same as ChatGPT. So you can actually provide a lot of context.
Mm-hmm. No, I think the future is definitely kind of somewhere on the upward slope of, a logarithmic curve, because you have very, very diminishing returns with the current architecture of the transformer model, the current amount of compute you have to throw at it to get higher parameter models. You could probably, in the next few months, train your own 7 billion parameter model that's maybe just for a really specific use case, but then it can run on a phone or a laptop however you want, as opposed to something needing to leverage this huge multiple trillion parameter model that costs a ton of money somewhere just to even use, because of how much compute you need to throw at even answering it simple questions. There's going to be space for both of them, but I think it's pretty big to come from one of these global corporations like Meta to open source something like this. I was trying to think about it, and I think of some of the big tech players. I think Amazon has Bedrock. We have OpenAI, Microsoft with the Bing, Bard from Google. No one's open sourced it yet, one of their models. But Meta seems to be, really kind of, that's their path forward. Hey, here it is. Make some cool stuff. We're all going to benefit from it.
And this was basically as a reaction to what OpenAI did with their, release of GPT-4 and their research paper behind it, or marketing pitch deck, you can call it, telling nothing. Basically, the research community was just, in a way, shocked, I would say, but also naturally other companies started taking the lead into the direction to be more closed because of the competition, because it's very competitive market. And another aspect to that is Meta's partnership with Microsoft.
Yeah.
That is something I did not thought I would see Zach with Sasha together in one picture, just, holding and cuddling. And Microsoft positioning into AI, again, as, we covered last week when I got the chance to talk with a person just below Sasha, and they are going full on AI. And I don't want to speculate or, say something I would get in trouble, but OpenAI is just one partnership, just one investment.
They made the splash. How many examples are there of this throughout history, especially in technological innovations? I think one of my favorite ones is, I think it was HP. They invented the computer mouse like back in the late 70s, but it wasn't until Steve Jobs and took it and put it with, I think, the Apple II. Did that become just the standard, So while there is plenty of first mover advantage in the AI space, and, these are well-established companies, I don't think they necessarily need that. Kind of doing it right, I think might be the enduring and lasting way to kind of succeed if you're a bigger company like this.
Yeah, so on my side, I'm actually, I learned APIs, I'm learning to write code, playing with Python. So the next thing, what I want to do, and especially with, upgrade with Mac, with M2 chip, I want to download one of the models and just get into that. And that being said, I wanted to kind of bounce something with you, because how do you say, your chief operating officer, can we call Valhar that at this point? Task manager?
Yes. So what Goda's referring to is our one of my colleagues at Synth Minds, who tries to keep the madness organized over there. But
He's brilliant. Basically, he whips everyone's ass to get things on time, update project manager. I work with so many project managers and project manage myself. And what he's doing as side hustle, side hobby is fascinating. So that being said, I looked at myself and I was like, okay, I complain to every possible person I meet how much I work, how exhausted I am, how many new projects there are, what is the YouTube game. And, I sat down and was like, either I burn out or I need to make changes, because I'm talking about AI. It should make life easier. Of course, keeping up with it, just with news and things coming out, is the whole other, full-time job. But it should be I was asking myself, how can I make my life way easier with the knowledge I have? And I don't think that I'm fully leveraging, our network, all the tools possible that I come across. It's good to talk about them. It's good to play, but how can I transform my business? Because being, content creator is new for me. I know how to be in different roles, but this is completely new business model. So I basically went into that and, placed kind of my marketing hat, and you need to talk with audience. You need to hear feedback. And as much as it's time consuming, it's really valuable. So something what I did, I created a Google Doc form, and I started sending out that to people who wrote to me on LinkedIn as a start. And I hope let's include that in the show notes or newsletter, because also this could be something to do for podcasts. And questions are basically, I'm asking, what is your industry? What problems do you face when it comes to AI? I asked some questions for my channel feedback, but also people to share their ideas. What is interesting to them? I can tell you so far, it's a lot of people already submitted, so that's exciting. And some very interesting ideas, but also the common theme. And I can tell you the common theme of that is, how do I practically implement that into my life?
Yeah.
So that was like, another one was keeping up with, what's available, what's out there, which is, I think, is important part. But then you can keep up every day. Like, there's a bunch of amazing YouTube channels which keep you updated on a weekly basis, posting a bunch of videos. But the other aspect is, how do I understand it? And how can I practically implement that? So my personal goal right now is completely to revamp the whole process, how I do things, from email management to content creation to social media, which I'm not really active on social media in a way. So how can I leverage all these tools? And then once I achieve that, to share, the whole process that anyone can replicate and go ahead with that.
I mean, it's undoubtedly, a game changer, but one of the challenges with all these new tools is which one do you pick? But then also like getting them to work together in a way that's logical is also difficult. We're building something that hopefully does this, called an orchestrator, that we think is going to be able to tie a lot of these AI technologies together. So as new ones come out, we can just add it in, and then it can be useful for building apps, for interfacing with. But there's a total need for it. We built some Discord bots just to try to keep us up with headlines that drop, YouTube videos that drop, new papers that come out.
And
it's a full-time job.
It is, next to all the other projects.
Sure.
I think what you just said, there is kind of three questions, what is available out there? What is good out of what is available? And the third one is like how things work together for my specific use case. And my specific use case is, specific to me, but there is probably another million people who have exactly the same problems as I do. So I think also we could do something for this podcast.
I think you're totally right about a ton of that. One of the ways, though, that you can overcome it is, hey, find someone or, invest in your own learning and knowledge in the space and benefit from people who are, frankly, just obsessed with this stuff. It's been in our newsletter. I'll give it another plug here. Our course with CoRise, AI and ChatGPT for everyone. Pre-sale is live. We're going to be kicking off in August. This is to help people kind of come and use some practical applications with ChatGPT to do exactly what you're saying. Make a business chatbot, a business analyst that can help you in your day-to-day, get information organized, validate ideas, write different plans, emails, letters. But I think an important arrow in someone's AI quiver also then, especially in a lot of different fields, is some design tools with AI. And I know you have a project to share that you've been working on hard with a course that you're going to be teaching as well.
Yeah, right. So I'm really excited to talk about this because of multiple aspects. First of all, I come from design background, so everything is native to me, and all this technology is just fascinating how it's going to completely transform design, how we know it. So I was approached by Politecnico di Milano, the professor there. And months back, the true story is that I almost ended up studying there. So Politecnico di Milano is one of the top, if not the top schools for postgraduate design in Europe and 8th in the world, I think. So anybody from, Asia, from even African countries, and I think even the US, if they think to study design in Europe, they think Politecnico di Milano. And we have this poly design segment. We basically put together a 2-part course. The whole theme of that is designing with emerging technologies. But here's the twist. It's not just AI. Because in design practices, it's not just one spectrum. And the real creativity shines when you combine technologies and you combine expertise. We're covering AI, XR, which is virtual reality and augmented reality, and also physical things, and Web3 and DAO. But more broadly, how Web3 blockchain technology can also affect design practices. So now what I want to imagine, mixing pieces of these different domains together. And this is our goal. The first part is level up. So this is where we are bringing experts and some crazy names, experts, startups, and tools. So we combine everything, and it's going to be 16 hours. So in October, in English, fully online. So this is first time Politecnico di Milano does it on a global scale. So everyone is invited. If you're a designer, if you run agency of any sort, where anybody really who touches design aspect would be benefiting from this. And the experts we are bringing are going to share their expertise and teach what's out there, what they've been using. So the second part is Game On. So this is where people who graduated level up, they're going to move. And this is very intimate. This is only 24 selected people who are going to be in this kind of study academia group. This is going to be 36 hours twice a week in November. Also, both level up and Game On, as I said, there is an aspect that seats are limited just because of faculty. And, we want to really dive into quality. So another aspect is when you are in a classroom, you are learning from experts equally as much as the fellow next to you or someone in your group. So there's going to be, workshops, collaborative process, and Game On is hands-on, that you will have a project, you will launch a product, you will have full branding covered. I'm very excited. This is huge projects, and we are going to give on July 27th, we're going to have live stream on LinkedIn and also in Discord and on my own YouTube channel, where we are bringing one of the OGs in AI space, basically Binks. He goes all the way back to 2018. I met him on Discord Diffusion Discord. This was before Stability, before Midjourney. And they've been, nerding out and playing with these things like years before everything came out.
That's like the Mesolithic era in AI.
Yeah, it's really crazy. So if you would see the process, what Bings does, this goes beyond anything you could imagine when it comes to image generation. It's like every possible technology, different models, different weights, aspects, prompts, it's just fascinating. And it's really a huge privilege to, gather all these people together.
I'm so proud of you.
And yeah,
so awesome.
I hope that this is going to be interesting for more people to join.
Definitely. This looks fantastic. Where can people go if they want to find out a little bit more or see the webinar?
So the easiest is polydesign.net. And you can go to executive courses. And under that, you will see on a landing page, level up and Game On. We will also include the landing page where both courses, and you can learn more about that. Another thing is that we are going to gradually introduce each of the experts coming in. So this is going to be, campaign running throughout summer. I'm very excited to share the names which are coming in. For the live webinar, so we will share in a newsletter, my own YouTube channel, and we are finalizing to host it on Leonardo.ai. And if you don't know what Leonardo.ai is, you need to look it up. It's basically one of the top AI companies in a prompt text to 3D. What they're doing is incredible. Their models are fantastic. And they have just alone on Discord 1.6 million people as a community.
Yeah, I think we may have mentioned them on one of the first podcasts. I know that they've pretty much blown up, but they have an entire marketplace and app to basically generate actual 3D assets that can be used in games, videos, virtual environments, just from prompting alone. And an illustration of how important this can be and how useful it can be, we saw this week, because I don't know if folks are aware, but right now there's a Hollywood writer's strike, right? That means they can't put out new shows, new content if your writers are in the Writers Guild union. So a company called The Simulation, which in and of themselves, I think is an offshoot of the company Fable. They put out a completely tunable, a completely AI generated world, essentially.
South Park.
You
Yeah.
generate South Park episodes in.
My childhood. Oh my God.
So you pick the characters, pick the set, who's the hero character, and then prompt it, and it simulates the story and generates the cartoon for you. We're watching a little clip of it right now. There is basically kind of like a tree where it asks some questions, has pictures of the characters, and then you just give it a prompt. What's the story? Who's the hero? And then it's generating. Right now we're watching Cartman and Stan banter back and forth exactly like they would be doing on the show. Like there's no way you could tell this was at all
So
faked.
my brain, especially when we just talked about designing with emerging technologies. Now, if you put a hat on next 2 years, so prompt 3D, we already talked. Leonardo AI is doing that. But now imagine you prompting Game of Thrones series on VR interface, where it's actually also interactive and you can, touch, you can buy things, you follow this AI personas, and every single person maybe has different experiences. Or maybe we as people collectively watch these AIs just live their life and we tune in. And maybe we are part of their journey, or the whole gamification of everything. So in all of this, design is going to play a huge role, and designers can take the lead. So what we are watching is South Park, which is very simple animation. This is, in a way, simple to do. But that's not going to stop here. This is just a starting point. And it's already pretty damn good. Like, you can tell it's a South Park.
You would never be able to tell. And mind you, it generates an 11-minute episode very quickly. Yeah, that's where we're at now.
This is just exciting.
I do have one more announcement I'd like to finish on. I'll be attending the AI4 conference in Las Vegas. It's one of the premier AI for business community conferences. There's over 250 speakers. There'll be a ton of different events, and I'll be going representing How to Talk to AI. So we're going to be interviewing some folks. I encourage people to go to ai4.io. Let me know who of the speakers you want us to try to interview, who you want us to talk to. We'll be doing some live streams, some content for the podcast and the video podcasts from the floor. That's coming up. It's the 7th through 9th in Las Vegas in August. Stand by for some hit of content from the floor of AI4.
I'm sorry that I'm not going. Like, that would have been iconic, but I'm very happy that you're going to represent How to Talk to AI.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, because I also got invitation to be as Gotta Go. So it's a little bit disappointing, but there's going to be more opportunities for us to do the live event. But I'm excited that people you are going to meet and watch you.
Yeah.
Rock the scene.
Exactly. Wear very sporting Aloha shirts that are AI themed all through Vegas. Probably pretty needed because it's going to be hot. With that, we hope to do that a bunch more in the coming weeks. But with that, I think this is a good enough place as any to end. So for Go to Go, I am Wes the Synth Mind saying happy prompting, everybody.
Happy prompting, everybody.
As always, you can check out the show notes and links at howtotalkto.ai. That's all for this week's episode. Happy prompting, everyone.